What's up, you guys? Hey, thanks for watching this video. In this video, I want to talk about something kind of serious. This last week we had two, kind of very public suicides, Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade. And everyone's like, oh my God, it's so strange. Like, these people are doing this, they're super successful. How could they possibly have a problem? They have everything. Like, why would you be upset? Why would you get to the point of like wanting to kill yourself as somebody so successful? And I think the answer is kind of easy, actually. And I talk about this a lot in my study course. Not that I'm plugging my study course. I guess if I say it, I guess I kind of am. My point is that the same thing goes for depression and suicide and ADD and other psychiatric problems. But I see that this is very closely related to success and failure and depression and people that are just happy all the time and studying and working hard and being lazy, right? It's all the same thing in our brains. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. There's tons of information and stimulus in the world. There's too much going on for our brains not to automate a lot of processes. So this is from a book called Power of Habit. And there's a lot of studies around this, but this is just one of the main books that talks about this. And essentially they are neural pathways. And just like I'm driving right now and you guys are all freaking out because I'm driving and doing a video. I've been driving since I was 16 years old, 15 years old, right? Almost 30 years. And after a while, my brain has automated the gas, the brake, turning, watching for pedestrians and other things going on in the street. And so it doesn't take my attention as much. It takes very little effort for my brain to drive a car. And this is the function of our brain. We have to be able to take in a lot of information and compute that information and make sense of it. If we're taking these things in as they're new all the time, and your brain's like, oh, let's see, let me step out of bed today. Is there going to be enough gravity to hold us on the ground today? Is this floor solid today? You know what I'm saying? So every day, we're not like trying to figure out our environment. And that's what, we learn that obviously when we're kids. The kids are like, they're not talking right. They're pushing things around. Like, they're trying to figure out their environment. What they can do, what they can't do. They're testing all the time. And then, your brain gets to kind of a steady state of like, what's in your environment? And then sometimes you learn new processes. During residency, I was depressed, and I talk about that story, and I have a video on that about how this pizza made me realize that I was depressed because the pizza was so good that I was like, holy shit, I'm like depressed. So go watch that video if you haven't seen it. But after residency, I was like getting back to normal, and I was like, hey, I finished residency. It's not horrible anymore. I'm not working like a dog, and things were looking up. But then what happened is I took a job, and I shouldn't have taken that specific job, but I wasn't making any money. And I came out of residency. It was like, here I am. I finished. I did all the things I was supposed to do. And I expected to be on top of the world. And I wasn't, because of a lot of different things. The job wasn't probably what I should have taken. I wasn't being really valued in that job. And so after all this work, I was able to do surgery, but it was like I wasn't valued. So I was really upset. I was really fucking pissed off, is what I was. And I was like, the world, this is bullshit. I did everything right, and I still didn't achieve, what I wanted. I didn't have a family. I couldn't buy a house. I couldn't buy a car. Like, I couldn't do shit. And after all this work, this is how the world was going to treat me. Like, that's kind of how I thought. So what happened is, like, I would see people. It didn't matter what I saw. I would see happy people. I would see sad people. Whatever I saw brought me back to the same thought, which was, the world, why did this happen to me? And I deserved better. If I saw somebody happy, I was like, fuck them. They don't deserve that. I do. If I saw someone sad, I was like, see, I'm sad like them. And everything brought me back to the same thought. And I was like, what the fuck? How come I can't get out of it? I'm in this terrible cycle. Well, then I started reading non-medical books for the first time in my life. And I stumbled across how our brains work a little bit more in depth, not just, anatomy, but physiology and neural pathways specifically. And I realized that our brain automates a lot of things. And what it can automate is how we think and what we think of. And so if we get in a pattern of thinking negatively or going back to one thought, which is a negative thought, then our brain thinks that that's the normal, and that's automated. You see where I'm going with this? So if you can get in a cycle, and it's not really a cycle, it's a pathway, it's a neural pathway. And neural pathways can be driving a car, or they can be the way you think, or they can be emotional, or drive you to a certain emotion. For me, it was that pathway was leading back to a certain thought, which was, I deserve more, and I worked for more, and this is bullshit, and fuck the world. And then I would feel bad, and then I was depressed. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to sit in a room and sulk. And then when I realized that that is what was happening, I decided that I just needed to change it. And I'm not saying that everybody can do this. Actually, I think everybody can do this. But I don't have the data to prove that everybody can do this. And I think that this kind of information is not widespread, which is why I'm making this video. And, I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong, but this is just my experience and what I am kind of surmising about other people and these situations. And, to me, I think that everybody has the ability to decide what thoughts you want to go through your head. I use the example of a baby. Like if the baby is crying, if you hand them what they want, they're all of a sudden just like, oh yeah, they're happy and they're smiling and laughing, like instantaneously. We have that ability. Actually, I got this from Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is one of the people that I listened to, and he was saying, he gave that example, and I was like, oh, like I can just change my thought like that, and based on our thoughts, our emotions change. And then your actions will change too. And I've talked about this before, and I talk about this a lot in my course. So we can use that for a lot of different things. We can use that to study better. We can use that to feel better. We can use that to maybe not be depressed. And I think that, honestly, this is what happens to people like this is they get in a automated thought pattern like Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade. And, obviously, we all know that substance abuse plays into this as well. But that's the reason for the substance. I mean, the substance is another automated response. They go to the substance. This is the basis of addiction. And I think, some people understand this and some people don't. Some people think that it's a bad person because they're addicted. In my opinion, they have built an automated neural pathway that has not been overridden. And I think you can override that. I just think it's a very difficult process to override that neural pathway, especially when you're talking about substance abuse and kind of like addictive type of things. I mean, I don't really think the substance is addictive. I think it's the action which is addictive, and that neural pathway. That neural pathway is addictive. We are built in a way to go after things that are pleasurable, such as food. If we're talking about the Stone Ages here, you have to get food, and the only way to get food is to put a lot of work in. And if you don't like that food, then it's probably going to be difficult to get your ass up and chase a fucking saber-toothed tiger. I hope this makes sense. I hope you guys get what I'm saying here. I think that the people that, the last week or so, I think they got caught in a negative, depressive, automated neural pathway. And people talk about a chemical imbalance. Well, it's a chemical imbalance, but it's based on nerves firing incorrectly. And I think you can fix it. I think that people just don't understand this quite yet. We're not really that advanced with our understanding of depression and this whole topic here. Anyway, I think that's all I wanted to say about this. Hopefully you guys understand what I'm talking about. If you guys like these videos, share, subscribe, like, that'd be awesome. I do have a study course which teaches about this stuff. Relates to studying, obviously. if you like this video, please share it, because I think it's really important that we understand that this depression and substance abuse and stuff is like an automated neural pathway that can be overridden. It takes work, but it can be. So, hey, thank you guys for watching once again. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. And I'll see you in the next one.